Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event. Fight fans worldwide, you've tuned into the #1 undisputed boxing podcast today. This is the Boxing Breakdown. Now, your heavy-handed, hard-hitting host, Mark Roxy.
Yes. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Boxing Breakdown. And I'm your host, Mark Roxy, and I am here with my partner in crime, the ever-popular Mr. Harold Hunt.
That came from nowhere. I just want to talk this boxing.
Yeah, man. What's up?
I'm good. You know, a lot of stuff going on. Just want to roll on it, talk about it.
Yes. There is a lot of things going on. And how was your day today?
Oh, good day, man. Good weather, whatever. Watching these fighters work. You know, I go back watch fights of all of them, you know, just so I have an idea of what's going on and what I like, and, you know, and great fighters here, man.
Yeah, I see you've been busy. You've been doing a lot of judging and other stuff, right? In the boxing world.
Yeah, I've been running around a little bit. I went to a boxing convention, and got to go take a test so I can stay a judge.
That's awesome.
And had to do a fight.
You're so modest. Okay. We'll leave that one there. Right? So, but anyway, look, we got a lot to talk about today. And before we do that, I'd like to just welcome our listeners in today to the Boxing Breakdown. Thank you for being with us today. Wherever you are watching your podcast, listening to your podcast or watching us on YouTube, Facebook, or you're listening to us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you are. We appreciate you being with us today. And please take a moment to share the podcast if you like what you're hearing. Share it out with everybody, and we would appreciate that. And then also, I'd like you to know that if you're listening today, you're welcome to join us in the conversation. You can throw your comments into the conversation, and we'll be happy to air them and chat with you online. So, yeah. Anyway, we have a lot to talk about today, Harold. We definitely want to get into this Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Bud Crawford on September 13th. We'll also talk a little bit about the debacle there in Baltimore. I believe, was it Baltimore where De Los Santos was fighting? Was that in Virginia, Baltimore? Where was that?
Virginia.
Yeah, it was in Virginia. Yeah.
So life just happens.
Oh my gosh. We're going to talk all about Edwin De Los Santos and what happened with Keyshawn Davis. And, we'll break that down. And we'll also get into the WBC, WBA, the up and coming star Kenshiro Taraji. Yeah. He's going to be headlining a card coming up next couple of months. And then, of course, we'll talk about the ever-popular, the incomparable, talented bantamweight, super bantamweight, strawweight. This guy's fought in so many divisions. Nonito Donaire.
Hall of Famer.
Yeah, man. He's going to face off against Campos for the WBA title. So we'll chop that up in a minute as well. So without further ado, man, let's get into this Canelo Alvarez, Terence Crawford business. What do you got, Harold?
Canelo and Crawford. Right now, they're doing the press conferences. They've been pretty cool with each other. You know, the usual stare down. Nothing has occurred where it can be a negative thing like that. If you want to go to the physicality of it, Crawford's just a bigger person. He's got more weight and bulk than Canelo. He's just naturally bigger. So to the eye, that's what it looks like, and that's all I can really say right now. And then they're going to do 3 stops for the press conference. One in Sheik's backyard, one in New York, and one in L.A. So that's a total of 3. It'd be good if they can go to Atlanta. They can go to Dallas. That would be good. But those are the 3.
Well, Canelo Alvarez, 63-2 with 2 draws. He's got 39 big wins by way of KO. Terence Crawford is 41-0. This event is going to be at the Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada, and they are going to be fighting for the IBF, WBC, WBO, and this is a unification at 168. Is that right?
Yes.
It's also going to be on, I believe it's also going to be shown on Netflix for subscribers, and the subscribers that are going to be able to see this fight do not have to pay a pay-per-view to view it, which I think that's outstanding.
That's outstanding. Netflix is a kind of a staple of a lot of households.
Yeah.
So therefore, it can be seen, and then a lot of people will record Netflix and send that directly from the phone or whatever to their friends who may not have it. So it's going to be viewed by so many. It's going to be an excellent thing that they did that. Technically, it was good that they scaled it so they could handle it, because they had some other things on Netflix, big things that kind of crashed the system. But they got that fixed with the Tyson thing and Jake. So they should be able, and with the football game they did. So the world going to see this.
Well, Mike Tyson and Jake Paul broke the internet, so they had some problems with that fight. I know that.
Yeah, and they scaled it up from there.
I believe there was a female fight too that had a little bit of a problem, right?
No, they got it clear there. The actual stoppage of any transmission was with Jake Paul and them.
Yeah.
But this one, it went all the way, and then they had a football game too. They did it went without a hitch, so it's scaled up. It's not gonna crash.
Yeah, well, let's get into this fight, man, because you mentioned, and I want to make sure the listeners understood what you said in the beginning there. I picked up what you said that Terence Crawford looks to be a little bit of a bigger man in relationship to Canelo. And one of the things that, just to clarify, that is because they're not training. They're not fighting. They're not into 168-pound weight at this point. So when you're looking at them, they both look the way they do as pedestrians, as they're, I'm sure they're all
walk around weight, if you want to say it like that, right?
Yeah, exactly. But as far as the statistics are concerned, the actual on paper, Canelo Alvarez is certainly a bigger fighter. He is, Bud Crawford is fighting at 147 pounds. He's coming up 2 weight divisions to make this fight happen. So, I mean, that alone is unheard of, because, for those of us in the boxing world, like embedded in the boxing world, we know that, going up in weight is usually not a great idea. It's a very difficult thing to do. And especially when you're facing a formidable foe at, 168 pounds, somebody who has campaigned for quite a while at that weight. He's fought, I think the last time he fought at 174. I'm trying to see. He fought at 160 back in May of 2019. And he fought at 54 on September 17th of 2016. So that lets you know how long ago it was that he fought, down in the 50s, and then beyond that, the last time he fought in the 40s, he fought at 49 and a half back in, in March of 2011. And then he fought, his He fought at 44 back in 2010. My gosh. He had his pro debut at 139 at 2005 in October of 2005. Yo, Canelo has been at 168, man, for a long time. At the 160 or higher, he's been there for quite a while. Unbelievable, you know?
Well, I'll say this about that. We're just going to see if Bud has the bulk just to stand in there with him and go from there.
Well, I mean,
The stat speaks for itself, and I can't really, it's very impressive. I'm not leaning one way or the other, but I believe there was a heavyweight fight in the back where a light heavyweight beat a major heavyweight, and it was kind of upset. It was either a Floyd Patterson or something like that for the old heads, but it is possible.
Well, I mean, anything's possible, and certainly, I mean, just to give credit where credit is due, if anyone can do it, right, it's gonna be Bud Crawford. I mean, he's a complete fighter. He's a skillful fighter, super sharp. He's got so many gifts. He can fight on his back foot. He can counterpunch. He can, he can do a lot of things. He can switch. He switched orthodox to southpaw. He's got a lot of tricks in his toolbox. The biggest challenge that I see for the fight, Harold, is literally the weight.
Yes,
I see that as being the single most, and also Canelo Alvarez can really take a punch, Harold. He can take a good punch. So, I'm not sure how the weight, coming up in two weight divisions, does he score enough rounds? Does he bank enough rounds to come out with a unanimous decision?
Well, I'll say this about the weight. Yesterday, I saw a video of him with Shannon Sharp in the ring, and they were wrestling.
Yeah.
And Shannon Sharp, is a tight end, so he's got that tight end body.
Right.
And they were grappling in a kind of just a Greco-Roman type of embrace in that genre of wrestling. And Shannon is bigger than Bud, but Bud was able to kind of get leverage on him and actually move him around. And if you find the clip, you'll see that Shannon gives up first.
Wow.
Because he feels the girth of Bud, but it was equal, meaning that Bud is very strong like that. But that doesn't translate into taking a punch. But as far as he was able to move Shannon Sharp around in the ring, and you guys will be able to find the clip, and you'll see that.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, look, my main concern, right, is, does Bud have, can he deal with the size? Because Canelo, he's a puncher, he's a strong puncher. He's a great defender. He can defend against shots coming in. Great counter puncher as well. Bud Crawford is just outstanding in his ring generalship, his ability to bank rounds. Yes. Could he bank rounds against Canelo? Could he move, for the whole fight? What do you think the strategy is going to be? Do you think he's going to literally box Canelo?
I think he can power box Canelo. And you know what power box means? Meaning that I'm gonna box you, but I'm going to hit you hard enough where you just can't come in and run over me. So, and power box can end up to knockouts, because power box is a situation where when you're coming in, you can get hit clean, but I don't see him taking a negative stance and clinching and moving away and all that. I think he's just really going to catch Canelo coming in. And when Canelo happens to land something on him, we just got to see how he takes that. But I don't think that I don't know if he can take that punch. And that's my entire situation. We have to see if he can take a punch from that particular person. And that's all I can say.
You mean from Terence Crawford?
No, if Canelo, if Terence Crawford can take Canelo's work.
Right. Okay. I got that. Yeah. I mean, that is the $1 million question, isn't it? And really, Canelo has he has so many victories at that weight. And William Skull moved around a lot, right? He moved around. He was like very happy in the ring, running all over the place.
Well, he's a national hero in this country right now.
Well, yeah.
He'll never pay for a beer. He went the distance with Canelo. He got some life-changing money.
Yeah.
In this country, he's not polarizing. They're happy to have that situation with them. As far as the Boston community concerned, that was his style, and it was what it was.
Yeah,
I can't condemn him at all.
Look, Canelo dropped Belanga in I think it was the third round of that fight that they had.
Yeah,
but that was
Belanga tried to give him a fight.
That was a unanimous decision, though. And then the fight before that against Jamie Munguia was down in round 4, right? So 3 and 4.
He knocks them all down. They all get to go down, but he don't finish them. But
that's what's interesting about this fight, right? So I'm just pointing it out for the listeners, right? In September
past
of
9 fights, he's knocked each of them down. Correct?
No, exactly. Like no. Charlo went down in 2023 in September of 2023. He was down in round 5. So there you go. He got a guy in 3. He got a guy in 4, and he got a guy in 5. Right. And then prior to that, he had Gennady Golovkin. Was not able to put Gennady Golovkin down. No, because Gennady Golovkin was, really durable, and he won a unanimous decision there. And then just before that, he went up to 174 and a quarter to fight Dimitri Bivol, and he lost a unanimous decision there. So his last TKO knockout, was against Caleb Plant back in 2021.
Which isn't that long ago.
4 years ago.
Yeah, that's not that long ago, but he still produces a knockdown per fight. And that's what you want to see. And he gives that. He'll either dominate the rest of the way. He may not want to take these boys out anymore, or I don't know, but he always produces a knockout. And a knockdown, rather. Yeah. A knockdown. He produces a knockdown on the regular. That is what you expect from him. Whether he finishes them off anymore, we don't know that. But hey, I look for Canelo to possibly knock him down, or possibly. I mean, we know about Canelo's past problems with fighters of this ilk. So none of them were knocked down.
Are you referring to Mayweather? Is that what you're referring to?
And Lara and Bivol.
Okay.
Those 3 pose that style.
What style? Tell me.
That they call it slick fighter.
You mean like more of a boxer, like
if you want to connotate it like that, yes. And Lara gave him that look, Floyd gave him that look, and Bivol gave him that look, and he was he was unsuccessful at 2, and I thought he lost to Lara. Yes,
he won that fight.
Yes, but I thought
you thought he lost.
Yes.
Well, the scores were not that close, bro. I mean, the scores were, basically that fight happened, just for the audience, that happened in July of 2014, and that fight took place at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas against Erislandy Lara, And in that fight, primarily Levi Martinez scored it 117 to 111 for Canelo, and then Dave Moretti scored it 115 to 113 for Canelo, and then Jerry Roth got it 113 to 115 for Lara, which is kind of odd because maybe he just wrote in the wrong column. I don't know. It was, you know what I mean? Like that was.
Have you seen that fight? Of course.
Yeah, I saw the fight, but I mean,
and when you score, it was as a possibility.
I can't confirm or deny, Harold, only because because I want the listeners to know when we watch boxing, when I watch boxing as a coach, I watch it, I rewind it, I look at it. You know, when I watch boxing as a fan, I'm just watching it. Like I'm watching it, and of course I'm formulating who I think won the round, but I'm not scoring it. The skillfulness of a judge. When I'm judging, like it's a whole different look at the fight. And judges are trained to really look at the field of play, focus on the two boxers, and there's certain criteria. We were just talking about this the other day. You and I had offline, we had a conversation about boxing, and I'll bring that up to the audience in a minute. But what I'm just saying is that I didn't watch the fight that way. I just watched it. You know, I wasn't scoring it.
Okay, I watched it both ways as a fan, so I could get the taste of it,
right.
The whole atmosphere and all that. And then I watched it as with my hat on, like you just described, right? Okay, so I had that hat on, and I saw that, and what I saw was, although he lost, that skill set bothered Canelo. And then all I did was just translate it over to the other two fights he had.
Right.
That he was unsuccessful. And that style was, basically prevalent. So that's what I'm saying. But hey, Charlo thought he could do it. He thought he could actually employ that style as well, but he's got walked down. So people have tried to use that style against him.
Miguel Cotto, one of the most. Miguel Cotto was one. I mean, he's a different style fighter.
Yeah. That was Cotto. Cotto had his own situation going on. So I wouldn't say that was a problem for Canelo. I would just say that style that I'm speaking of, that's the one to my eye gives him the most pause.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, and I mean, all you have to do is go back to the Floyd Mayweather fight. The fight where he, I mean, the real loss that he got against Floyd Mayweather is the one that, for me, that stands out as being, the one where he just couldn't break the style. But
Bivol as well. He was just as hopeless with Bivol.
But okay, so
unhurt through both of them.
So Harold, just to play devil's advocate, the fight with Floyd Mayweather, he fought Floyd Mayweather. He was very inexperienced at the time when he fought Floyd Mayweather. And so that was the fight, the catalyst for him being able to have done what he's done since then. And I will tell you that the only fight, he had a draw against Gennady Golovkin. Right? That was
tight. Yeah. That was a tight fight.
That was a tight fight, but that was very competitive.
Yeah.
And then the fight, like you said, with Bivol, I mean, you got to know. I mean, when he fought Bivol, right? I mean, he came up so high. He literally came up to 175 pounds for that fight. He weighed in at 174 and a quarter for that fight, right? Just underneath the 175 pound weight, contract. So, I mean, what I'm saying is that he dared to be great. He dared to come up and fight a Bivol. Bivol is so skilled, and he lost, right? But that's in a completely, again, a completely different weight class than where he fights. So that's the one loss. And then the one loss that we talked about earlier on with Floyd Mayweather, that was the changing of the guard, if you will. And, that style was, I mean, there are very few people that have cracked the code on Floyd Mayweather, to be honest, in 50-0. So no one's really cracked the code on Mayweather. So, but the rest of the fighters on his resume, I mean, all of them, Callum Smith, Caleb Plant, Gennady Golovkin, Jermell Charlo, Jamie Munguia, Edgar Berlanga, William Skull. Like,
you
none
can
of
go
those.
far back. Shane Mosley.
Oh, his resume is amazing. I mean,
So
yeah.
That style, I think he's like 2-2 on that style. Well, if you want to say Shane wasn't really fighting like that, but
but
Canelo 2-2 with that style.
I think that Terence Crawford's style,
encapsulates all of that.
It does, and the thing is he, to your point, he switches to both sides. He's equally as good on both sides. So, that is a problem. That's because Canelo didn't get well against Lara, and Lara's a southpaw. So, and he has that style. He has that technical boxer, slick boxing style. Yeah. Super defensive, great command of distance, control over the timing and rhythm. His timing is impeccable. Those fighters will give Canelo a problem. Yeah. But, the question I have, and if you're listening in, wherever you're listening in from, jump on Facebook or YouTube and drop your comments. Let us know whether or not you think Canelo Alvarez or Terence Bud Crawford. Who do you think was going to win this fight? Drop your comments right now. Awesome.
All right.
Go. All right. So, hey, let's move over to the Keyshawn Davis fight against Edwin De Los Santos. You want to break down what went down over the weekend?
Well, just quickly, the boxing world may know this. Keyshawn had a fight. He sold it out. He came in overweight. So he was hoping the fight would go on and his opponent would take, a percentage of his purse and allow the fight to go on. But he did not. He said, you're overweight and I don't want to take a chance of you being overweight. So he did not fight. So Keyshawn was not the lead fight. And another gentleman was elevated to the lead. But it was just a whole bunch of going ons with Keyshawn. So the WBA is going to go ahead. WBC is going to go ahead. WBO rather. I'm sorry. WBO is going to go ahead and move him up to a better weight class, and he'll still be a star. And this is just kind of a hiccup, media wise, that he'll get through. But it was kind of extensive. It's kind of shock worthy. But it's just a situation where I believe he's going to rebound from this. He'll still keep his management, and he'll still be able to fight for a belt coming up pretty shortly here. So, and he did sell the tickets or what have you. Now, his opponent did not fight, but he got half of his purse. So that's a good thing. And the purse was what, 600, and he's going to get 330 De Los Santos, which is great. So everybody kind of wins in the situation. Yes, Keyshawn's aura may take a little hit, but he's a talented fighter. He's got charisma. He'll rebound from this. He didn't get arrested or nothing like that. Just some little skirmishes, this, that, and the other. I don't necessarily want to go into it right now. We can later on, but he had an interesting time, being a young man. So it was what it was, Mark. I still believe in his talent and his drawing power.
Wow. Okay. Well, I, on the other hand, have a lot to say about this because, for me, boxing is a gentleman's sport. I think that boxers demonstrate tremendous amount of violence inside the ring. But as much violence as they use inside of the ring, it's important to be able to control that violence and control that energy and that temperament when you're out of the ring, right? And I just feel that there's no place in boxing for that kind of behavior.
Describe what he did to them. Describe what he did in your mind.
I believe, I can't describe what he did because I wasn't there. I can only describe what the media and what, insiders have reported, right?
Have you seen the clip?
I haven't seen the clip. Tell me about the clip. Tell the audience about the clip.
Okay, no, I didn't see the front clip. It wasn't there. It was a second clip. There was two physical type things. So the first one you're going to speak upon, and I didn't mean to interrupt you or nothing but there is a clip of the second incident.
Well, I'm just talking about any altercation that happens between boxers at the end of the fight, in the locker room, in the dressing areas, that is anything less than sportsmanlike, is just unacceptable. So I don't need to know what they did. I don't need to know who punched who headbutted who did what they said, it doesn't matter. What matters is that, as a coach, right? We expect that our fighters behave as gentlemen, come win or loss, right? That you behave as a gentleman. And I think that's important. When you go back and you look at fighters, throwback fighters, the greatest, look at Muhammad Ali. This is a person that was great in rhetoric, great in talking, but at the end of the day, was a gentleman. Was a gentleman at the end of the fight. We have to remember what it is that we're doing, right? So yes, sometimes it gets heated. Sometimes, fighters get a little out of control to sell the fight in the beginning. But when the fight's over, right? You lose, you lose. You win, you win. You move on and you go forward. So that for me is just something that I find to be unacceptable for men that are very, very skillful at exercising their
craft.
The craft, yeah. And part of being a warrior is knowing how to be gentle at times. And that's just something that I would encourage.
Heresy. You're calling it heresy.
I would encourage not just Keyshawn Davis, but all fighters to recognize their responsibility to the sport and to the fans and to the promoters, right? I mean, just the sheer amount of money that he lost and that the promoter lost and that the networks lost is a lot.
What's the number?
First of all, I know that Keyshawn Davis was reported that he lost over $1 million.
Okay.
And that's from the fight being canceled. That has nothing to do with any lawsuits or anything that's going to come down the pike later on.
Oh,
that's just the fight. So, and not to mention what did Bob Arum lose? What did they lose at Top Rank? I don't know. I don't know what they lost, but I can guarantee you they lost on that night, and they will probably end up losing more coming up because how that goes.
They can afford it. He's not going nowhere. This is a bite they're going to take, and they're going to eat it. And they may say, oh my, oh my, oh my, but he's not going nowhere, and they're going to take that bite.
Yeah.
They're going to take that bite.
So you think that they'll just sweep this under the rug and keep it moving?
They'll take the bite. They'll ride the rhetoric. They'll ride the attitudes that people may have about it. He's not going nowhere. Wow. Period.
Okay. Well, Harold Hunt has spoken.
I mean, I get your point. I mean, you are everyone's not a purist and understands. These young guys don't know what the pedigree and tradition of this is. I mean, they're not necessarily getting that now, as they did when you would come. I know you're appalled. You should be, because you know how it is to be the fabric of this sport, and it's been just just ignored, and just something that's never ever happened ever. It happened, and he was a part of that. I get that, but you don't know what you don't know.
Yo, but let's talk about it from a different angle, Harold. Let's talk about it from De Los Santos' point of view. Right here, Edwin De Los Santos comes to the fight ready to go. He's overcoming a size difference, right? A weight difference already, size wise, height wise, and then on top of it, there's a 4.5 or 4 3/4 pound weight differential, almost 5 pounds, right? And leading up to it, so he didn't make weight. He doesn't take the fight. I mean, that's a huge setback for De Los Santos, because, I'm just going to tell you, like, I was in the gym with De Los Santos. I worked him for a couple minutes to feel his power. I know what he's got. That would have been a very, very tough fight for Keyshawn Davis. I'm just saying. So
Keyshawn may have not have wanted to fight him. Technically, they just.
I'm not making beef. I'm not making beef. I'm just telling you, as a trainer and as a coach,
it was going to be a fight.
There was going to be something was going to go down, because De Los Santos is a lot trickier and a lot tougher than you think. And if you need to know, just ask Shakur.
Okay, so De Los Santos, rather, Keyshawn dodged a bullet. That's what you're saying. He dodged the bullet. He gave up $1 million+ to dodge that bullet, because De Los Santos was going to give him the work.
Yeah. So here, I mean, I'm looking up here, and someone's talking about the Crawford fight, saying that Crawford's going to take Canelo. First of all, thank you for leaving your comments. Yeah, I mean, we'll chop that up in a second. That you think Crawford's going to take Canelo. I'd love to know why you think Crawford's going to take Canelo. Why don't you put that in the comments so we know? And then this is what we're talking about, the Keyshawn Davis fight. And there's someone here. It's I Chase Vision says that Deshaun would have still won against De Los Santos. And then below it says that Keyshawn is way too explosive. I do not disagree with that. I do not disagree that Keyshawn is explosive and, all of that. But coulda, shoulda, woulda, we don't know. We're all kind of like in this place, man. I Chase Vision. We're in this place where we don't know what would have happened if they actually fought. If he sleeps De Los Santos, if De Los Santos, trugs along and catches them, you just don't know. I mean, Keyshawn's brother lost, right?
Yeah, and that's the reason the whole situation kind of happened. But the younger brother looked pretty good.
Yeah, the younger brother. Tell me about the younger brother, even though we're not really talking about that.
Yeah, he had a knockout. I think it was a second round. He looked really good and strong. He's tall like Hearns in that type of situation. He throws nice 1-2s. He stands in there nicely. He looks like the little nicer, a roundabout style than the older brother who lost, who was in a good fight. I just think that younger brother is pretty good as well. He's on the level of Keyshawn, I would say. I was never really sold on his style, but it's effective. But the brother style, the youngest brother, I tend to like the most. So watch that fight. That was good.
Yeah. No, I mean, definitely. I just, I Chat Davis, what was it? I Chase Vision. He says, Keyshawn is way too explosive. So what do you think? How do you think the fight would have gone had they been able to lock horns? How would the fight have gone? Harold,
as the gentleman just said, I think they would be fighting, evenly, and then Keyshawn would explode with something that he didn't see coming, and kind of hurt him and rock him a little bit or whatever, and possibly take him out, or finish the fight on top because he was able to hurt him a couple of times because he is explosive, as he said. Only thing I would wonder if De Los Santos could actually hit Keyshawn and knock him off his dime, and I don't believe he could ever knock him off his dime.
Okay. All right. Well, being in the gym with him and feeling the power. I mean, I don't know. I haven't been in the gym with Keyshawn, so I don't know what kind of power he's got.
And that's true. Or his chin, or his chin either.
Or his chin. That's a good point.
And that's the point.
Yeah. Well, this is a good conversation. I just want to. My hat goes off to Edwin De Los Santos for being a true gentleman.
And he got half his money, and he'll get a rematch.
I mean, he should have got all of his money. He weighed in. He should have got all the money.
Well, it wasn't up to him. It came from the promoter. It did not come from Top Rank.
Right.
His promoter made a deal with Top Rank to pay him half the money. Yeah. Usually, as you know, Mark, you get nothing. If the fight goes out, the fighter who violates gets nothing. And sometimes, most of the time, as you know, they get nothing. I mean, Tim Bradley says, I got pulled out, I got nothing. And I've heard other fighters speaking on this saying they got nothing. So for him to get half that purse is pretty good. But it was from his manager, not from Top Rank.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's where you have to, because he did weigh in. Once you weigh in, you got to get paid, If you weigh in and, for some odd reason, the other opponent doesn't,
Tim Bradley went through that, and a couple other fighters have gone through that, and they didn't get paid.
You want me to flip my hat around and put my manager hat on? Because I will put my manager hat on, and we will get paid. We will get paid because you can't do all that work, pay all those people to train you, show up, and not get anything.
He got something. He got something. He got half.
Right. I chase vision here. Let's see what he says here. He says, I believe Crawford will because he has it all. Crawford is quite explosive. He has defense. I got Crawford. Yeah, I mean, you're not incorrect. You're not incorrect that Crawford's got it all. He switches both sides. He's defensive. He's offensive. He's got a great command of defense. He's got a great command of range and distance, and he sees what's happening in there. He's a counter puncher at inches. He's not way out of position when he's trying to counter punch. He's inches away. So all that you're saying is correct. But,
it is.
But what I will tell you is that boxing is done by weight classes. There's a reason why boxing is done by weight classes. There's a reason, you guys. I mean, it's not, for those of you tuning in, like boxing is not just everybody fights everybody. It is about weight classes. If and it's for the safety of the fighter. It's also because for it to be a fair competitive fight, you have to kind of fight within that weight class. So when you have a guy like Crawford who dares to be great, this is the biggest challenge of his life, to be honest. Like, thus far, for him to go up 2 weight classes and fight, the Don of that division right now, undefeated in that weight class, that's a tall order. And if he does it, he will cement himself in the history of, of the annals of the boxing world. I mean, he will.
Well, there's going to be a rematch, whether he wins or loses. So we're going to see it twice.
Right. He said, Bomac knows what he's doing. Y'all all sleeping on Bomac. No, this is not about Bomac. Listen. So I chase vision. Thank you for being in the conversation, bro. It's not about Bomac. I know that Bomac knows what he does, and Bomac's going to come up with probably one of the best fight plans that if you have a Delta card, you're going to switch to Bomac card because he has a great fight plan, right? We know that. But here's the thing. Canelo Alvarez, right, has an amazing team. Their team is great too. So if you want to put team against team, who has more,
accolades.
Accolades, yeah. I mean, it's not, forget
successes.
accolades. The experience level, it's literally going to be a tactical war between those two, between the coaches. There's no question in my mind that that's going to be how this fight's going to be won.
True that.
Yeah, because but again, you can't just sidestep the tremendous weight disparity here. This is something. The more and more I talk about it, and maybe I'm just riling you guys up, right? The weight class is huge. It's a big deal.
Now, as far as the coaches thing back and forth, like you're saying, that makes sense. But they're going to have the added advantage of Bud's personal thought process. Now, they got two other coaches, so it's going to be a plan from him, Bomac, and the other two, okay?
Yeah.
So you got the four heads. Of course, you got the four heads on the other side as well. I'm just thinking that which one will be more pliable from the coach's standpoint. And I think Canelo's going to listen directly to them and execute that game plan. Whereas I think Bud will execute the plan, but will compensate and will change as needed. I don't see Canelo really changing anything that he needs to do, just impose what he does. And Bud may have to be the one who adjusts. And I just think that the intellect, as you said, is between the coaches or whatever. I just think it's going to be a little more intense or on Bud's side, only because there's so many heads in the pot. And we know Canelo has his mode of operation. He's not forced to move off of anything he wants to do. He does exactly what he wants to do. There's no need to change what he has to do. He's always been successful at it. So he's going to come with that. And if Bud makes him change, that'd be very interesting.
Yeah, no. I mean, look, Crawford is jumping up. He's jumping up, right? And it's a lot. And will his speed transfer? What I can tell you, IJ's vision, is that the speed doesn't always come with you when you're going up 2 weight classes. You will slow down. Now, it may not, it's all relative, right? Because then you're fighting at a class where the hands are moving slower than like 147. Down in 147, like when he fought Errol Spence didn't see what he got hit with. He couldn't see it. It was so fast. But when you're going up 2 weight divisions, right? That's a big deal. That's a real big deal. And yes, the hands will be slower. And yes, Canelo will be able to see the movement of the hands, right? So those are important things that you just said, IJ's vision. Because the speed is not what it's going to be at 147, right?
That's true, but you still have timing, and if speed is taken from you because you can't do it or it's just not effective, timing is still effective. Timing still allows you to score it, even though the speed is not there usually. And then just the IQ is going to kick in. That's what I'm saying. His adjustments are going to be phenomenal. Yes, he may be too slow, so we got to see how that goes.
Harold, it's interesting because I think you and IJ's vision have the same thought about that, because he just said that you can't sidestep the weight. It's a lot from the looks of it. Crawford is already adjusting great. Well, Crawford, like we talked about this at the top of the program, Harold mentioned that Crawford does walk around heavier. He walks around, what you're seeing him at is what he walks around. But also you have to remember that Canelo also walks around at a much higher weight than 168. He's walking around heavier than 168 right now. So those, you'll just see different fighters in the ring at that point. And then,
Uh,
can you see the comments, Harold?
yeah, that's pretty good there. But I have to let him. We'll have to talk about that.
Yeah. Well, you want to touch on that one?
I heard Turkey is changing the rules to make the fight in the middle. Is that true? Well, I don't know if you mean in the middle of the ring
Yeah, that's
or
what
in
he
the Middle
means.
East,
You know,
but
he
there's no
means
way.
in the middle of the ring, bro.
If you're talking about the middle of the ring, no, that's pretty good stuff, but that's not possible. And but thanks for telling us, but that's not how that's going to work at all. I
Well,
mean, it's just that if Bud can keep him in the middle, he has he can fight him well. If he fights him on the ropes,
yeah,
that'd be a different game. But yeah, if
Harold.
anybody got to fight in the middle, it's got to be him. Unless I'm missing what Chase Vision is trying to say.
For the listeners and also for you, Harold, for those of you listening and tuning in, what he's referring to is that the Turk came out earlier and he said that he is unequivocally not going to be allowing fighters that are runners, right? And you know where he's talking about, right? So in
Okay.
Raid, basically, he's referring to Devin Haney's style of fighting. I am not saying that you're a runner, Haney. I'm smarter than that. I know what you were doing. I know why you did it. But Turkey, ala Shikins, what he's saying is that he's not putting money up for guys who are going to be running around in the ring, and that he's looking for guys that are going to be explosive in the ring, that are going to create wars in the ring, because boxing needs wars. And I'm paraphrasing. Those
Yes.
are not the actual words of the Sheik, but these are paraphrased words, right? So
Yes.
but that's in essence what he's referring to.
Right.
But you can't. It's Harold. We talk about this all the time. Listen, for all of you promoters out there, and all of you, would be, fans out there, stop being brave with other people's blood. You cannot say boxing is the art of boxing is to hit and not be hit. That's the point of it all, right? So if the tactic is you're saying that the tactic is that you're running. He wasn't running. He was just using his jab, and he landed his jab, right? So he wasn't running.
You're talking about Haney here.
Yeah, I'm talking about Haney.
Okay.
I think that his style in this particular fight, well, and that was a call from the corner. It was a call from the team. This is how they wanted to do this fight so that Haney didn't take a lot of shots. I mean, I'm not sure that Bill Haney didn't want his fighter to take the shots. I'm saying that there's a strategy behind why they fought like that, because Devin Haney can fight in other ways. That's not the only way he fights.
Yeah, I thought it was a clear strategy that was employed as it should be, and it deserves no criticism. I'm talking about the Crawford situation with back to Crawford and our guy and Sheik saying that that does not apply to these guys.
Right.
Period. If Bud needs to box in such a manner, he won't be criticized for it, because that's what he's going to do. He's kind of speaking of what is upcoming. It has nothing to do with this fight right here. Any of the things that he's saying about the quality of the fight in the ring has nothing to do with these guys. It has nothing to do. But in the future, he can control that type of narrative anyway by the fights he puts on. So he's just telling the public, this happened. It wasn't what I wanted. In the future, I'll be more mindful of it or whatever. Yeah. But Haney deserves no criticism whatsoever for that performance, because he did what he needed to do, and exactly as you said.
And ladies and gentlemen, Harold Hunt has spoken.
No, not that I've spoken, but I'm agreeing with you totally. I mean, that's what it is, right? It was a beautiful thing. He could do that. I thought it was well done. I've judged him in the past when he was coming up, so he was capable of that then, and he just displayed it now. The footwork was good. So I know you defended that, but I don't know why, Mark. I mean, it was beautiful work.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm just playing devil's advocate. Here we got Carlos Vargas saying, how does anybody know if Crawford is adjusting? Well, he hasn't had a professional fight within that weight class of 168
I can
pounds.
answer that.
Well,
I can answer that.
That's a good point.
Yes.
Vargas has a good point here.
Yep. Quickly, I can answer that. He's going to try to get some sparring with the heavier guys to see if he can take that punch. And many fighters in the training camp get knocked out, knocked down, hurt, or whatever in training camp because they're trying to figure out if they can take, a bigger man's punch on a regular and tussle with a bigger man. So we won't know if Crawford gets knocked down or nothing like that in training camp by a bigger guy, but there's nothing like an actual fight. So he could get hit by King Kong in there and have a good chin. But in a fight, your adrenaline, everything is different. But he's going to see if he can take a heavier punch or that type of thing. So when Canelo does hit him, he's familiar with that kind of power. And if he can do that, that's where he can really, he can box or whatever. But Canelo's an excellent boxer, great defense. I mean, Canelo fights from the waist up. He's beautiful. So it will be something. The main thing, as Mark has been harping on, the weight. And the weight translates to me is if he can actually take a clean punch from Canelo, will it rock him? Will it move him? If it does, then we see a different thing.
Yeah, great point, Harold. I mean, that's
the bottom line for me. I can't go any deeper on that. It's simpler for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Harold, I think this Canelo topic, Canelo versus Crawford topic, is like, this is something.
It's dominating. We were talking about De Los Santos.
There's so much. I know. Sorry, De Los Santos, but there's I was trying to give him some play on the broadcast, and but this Crawford thing is a big deal. Yeah, but he hasn't tested himself against any elite fighter.
Only one that you would say would be
What do you mean? Who has
the welterweight. He's talking about Crawford. The welterweight Spence. If you want to go that argument, the only elite fighter that some people believe was Spence only. Everyone else was not of that ilk. So that's a good point, Vargas.
Wow. Well, I mean, hold on. Let's go back. Let's see who he's fought. I mean, are you talking about ever out of the 40 wins?
He's been dominant. He hasn't had any issue that I can think of other than those ones that we talked about. Well, all the way up. He didn't get moved too much. He may have got moved around a little bit, but it was decisive at the end.
Right. Well, I mean,
can you state any fight where I thought he had a little problem?
Not really.
No. So
no. I mean, the only fight that he ever had there isn't a fight that he. I mean, look, let's go back to his pro debut, Brian Cummings. Right?
They said he had a knockdown in someone, but he came back and dominated that fight and the Spence fight. So Vargas is kind of he's on the point. There's only one elite fighter that he's fought. Only one.
If you think that there's a fight that we're missing here, where Crawford was tested, I mean. He slept Yurokis Gamboa. He took out Thomas Delorme. I'm just going through. I mean, he's just walked through a lot of good fighters. John Molina, he TKO'd John Molina. Felix Diaz, Jeff Horn, who beat Manny Pacquiao. He basically took him out in the 9th round. Jose Benavidez Jr. He TKO'd Jose Benavidez Jr. Amir Khan, who's one of my all-time favorite speed fighters. He beat Kell Brook. He beat Sean Porter. He beat Shawnee in a TKO. He beat David Avernison, and he's a good fighter. Errol Spence, Israel Madrimov, and I will tell you, Madrimov gave him a little bit of a tough run. That was a tough fight. I mean,
As did Sean. As did
Yeah,
Sean.
yeah, as it should be. That was a tougher. That was one of the fights where I saw some things, right? So that was actually in August of 2024. It took place at the BMO Stadium in Los Angeles, California. It was a 154-pound contest. So he did go up weight, and he won unanimous decisions in 12 rounds for the WBO interim world super welterweight title. The other thing that should be noted is I believe that if Crawford beats Canelo, he will be the only fighter in the history of the sport that's won unified in 4 weight divisions. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
I just popped into my head because I'm sitting here looking at the belts. That's a big deal.
So I have no anticipation as of yet. I'm not hyped at all, really. I'm interested in some of the other stuff that's coming up. We got some Japanese fighters coming up. We got a fighter that we like, Nonito Donaire, coming up. So
a couple of things I just wanted to touch on before we get to Nonito Donaire, which is that I heard that Jaron Ennis is going to move up to 154. You heard about that?
No, but that is a nice addition. There's a few people up there that he could work with.
Virgil Ortiz. That's where he's going.
He gets away from Lopez, little man, big man thing. He's had all the belts down there. He might as well go up.
Yeah.
I would think the better money was in 47. I would think.
Yeah.
But he cleared out 47, and he doesn't have a dance partner to generate that kind of money at 47.
Yeah.
And Lopez was trying to come there. So it's great. I mean, there's a lot of people up there that he could work with. Yeah, that'd be he'll be interesting in that division. Who else is up there? So he's going right to who? Ortiz? Who's he going to?
Virgil Ortiz. Yeah, that would be. That's what I think, because that's Virgil Ortiz is the guy. Virgil Ortiz is the guy there, right? So I mean, in that weight class, he's there.
That sounds really good.
Yeah, I mean, I was just
Chase Vision says Richardson beat Kambosos.
Yeah, so I mean that he's saying that Richardson. Are you saying that Richardson will beat Richard?
Yes.
That he will beat
Richardson.
Yeah.
Fighting Kambosos. Yes.
Well,
he should beat him.
Harold, for the listeners that don't follow, the schedule of boxing, this fight is happening this weekend. It's happening on DAZN.
It is.
It's for the IBF world title, right?
In Australia.
Yeah, and it's Richardson against George Kambosos, who, by the way, one of his biggest upsets was knocking Teofimo Lopez down. That was like, and then winning the title.
And he did a great job at that. He fought very well that night, and he parlayed in good fights, good money, and he's respected.
There's been a lot of heat about this fight. There's been a lot of smoke between Kambosos and Richard Richardson. I'm not sure if they're just trying to sell the fight or what's going to happen. But do you have a take on who you think is going to win that fight?
Yes, I do. Richardson is a good mouthpiece. He's got charisma, and he talks a lot of stuff. He's able to sell the fight, but he has a good skill set too, which is based on fundamentals. And fundamentals will take you a long way. And if you really are sharp with the fundamentals and you're flamboyant with the fundamentals, you're gonna prevail for a long time. Kambosos, on the other hand, his fundamentals aren't necessarily like that. He's more of a twitchy type fighter. He has his own style, but his style is not going to do too well against Richardson unless he catches them and turns them off. But as far as style is concerned and the projection, Richardson really looks really good and strong. And Kambosos does have has some losses to some fundamental or front foot guys. So it's the fight will be good. I'm thinking Kambosos has a chance like any other, but we're going to see a nice display of skill from Richardson Hitchison.
Yeah, Richard, he looked great in the weigh-ins, and there was a lot of smack talking. I mean, both of them looked great. I studied this fight. There's a lot of comments coming in, Harold. A lot of comments, but I studied the fight, and one of the things that I can see is that Richard Hitchison likes to fight very close. He likes to throw right hand, left hooks quite often, right? He doesn't always come behind a jab, a very disciplined jab, which is going to play into Kambosos, because Kambosos likes to come, he likes to fight at a close range as well. And Kambosos can hit you with a right hand and sleep you, or knock you down at the very least. So there is an opportunity. There is a small window of opportunity where Kambosos could land some shots to give Hitchison some trouble in that fight. And by the way, that fight is happening in New York, Harold.
My bad. Now, Hitchison is safe in the pocket with Kambosos.
Right.
That's where his safety and his advantage will come. And that's why he feels like he can just go in there and just take him through. He's not coming behind the jab. He's going to sit in there in the pocket with him and outwork him in that pocket.
Yeah.
So I still see, him doing very well without coming behind that jab.
Right. Hitchison is a 7-1. He's supposed to win 7-1, right? But that was those were similar odds against Teofimo Lopez. So, he's done his share of upsetting the apple cart, if you will. He's done his share, right?
True.
Yeah. So what's this business about Nonito Donaire? Let's talk about Nonito Donaire.
Well, he's coming out of retirement and he's going to fight for a vacant WBA interim belt, meaning that he's not the number one champion, but he will be a champion. So he's going to get a nice payday here and he'll have opportunities to possibly fight for a title again. He sells tickets. He's an affable guy. I did a fight maybe a month ago. He was there commentating, and the next thing I know, the next fight, he's fighting again, and Antonio Tarver took his spot for commentary. And this happened last week or whatever. Wow. So he said in print that he's missing fighting. There's something missing in his life, the training camps and all that kind of stuff. And he's like any other athlete, once you've been to the top, you mentally you feel like you can still do it, and physically you may be able to, but you're lured back to it just because you just missed that grind in your life. And so he's going to go back and get some of it. Sugar Ray Leonard went back and got some of it. He shouldn't have gone back to get any of it because it was Camacho. And so many fighters, as we know, go back, and they they're successful. Right. Some of them are not.
Yo, I Chase Davison. I Chase Vision is asking, could Charlo beat Canelo? You got an answer for that, Harold?
Well, if you want to look at the last fight and you look at the weight or whatever, and everyone always believed that the Charlo brothers' skill sets when they're in their prime would really give Canelo, a problem.
Yeah.
He just came back. He looked really good in his fight. He didn't have any ring rust, I could tell. And that's the style that people were looking at 5 years ago to beat Canelo. So, right. Realistically, I'm not being comical about it. If Charlo can get kind of really skilled back to that, show that which he tried to do or whatever, and Canelo continues to fight, they could build it as a revenge of the brother or whatever. But that style and that weight will go better with Canelo, I believe, other than, when his brother fought. So realistically, that's not a off question at all, because, Charlo did look really good. He was off for a while. He looked pretty sharp, and that weight's going to help him with Canelo.
Just not yet. Just not. I don't.
No,
I don't
not yet. Not yet. Not yet.
I don't
Not
see
yet.
that. But
No.
I mean, I understand. I understand the philosophical, the way you broke that down. I just don't think that the question that he asked was, do you think that Jermell Charlo can beat Canelo? And so if I'm going to answer that, like just throw it out, I'm going to say no. I don't see it. I don't see that happening. I don't
Even
think
at the primes, even at the prime.
No, I just don't see it. I mean, could
I
it
see
happen?
another B-ball.
Yeah, you do?
Yes.
Wow. Well, I'd love to.
I mean, possibly, because he's going to get out. That's what I see. Because B-Evolve did not back down or anything. He continues to come forward with that. So if Charles can do that,
Harold, I just wanted to say, if you're tuning in, thank you for being with us. Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for being with us. If you're on YouTube or Facebook with us, we greatly appreciate it. Keep the comments coming. We love it. And my brother from another mother is here. Manny Rivera of Hard Hitting Promotions just popped into the chat. He's here. He says the best show on the air. Manny, thank you so much, bro. Thank you so much for that.
Kind words, sir. Kind words.
It's greatly appreciated coming from a man of your stature. A man of your stature. One of the best promoters on the East Coast, if not the United States. For sure.
True that.
Yeah, absolutely. Hard Hitting Promotions. How about that, Manny? You like that? Yeah, man. So Nonito Donaire was one of my favorite fighters.
Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame fighter, bro. This guy is incredible. Nonito, one of my favorite all-time fights. Y'all, most of you guys tuning in don't even know about this fight.
I know which one you're gonna say.
777. 777 was the date. July 7th, 2027 or 2007, right?
Can I say the name? Or are you gonna say the name?
Go ahead, say it.
Vic.
Yo, that was one of my favorite. That was one of my favorite fights in all.
You can say the last name. Go ahead.
Vic Darchinyan. Yeah, yo, that was a great freaking fight. I mean, I saw that fight, man.
And Vic was the monster at that time. He was Canelo. I mean, he was Golovkin-like at the time.
Yeah, he was larger than life. He was unbelievable. And Nonito Donaire
he was
just
beating
slept
everybody
him.
up.
He was beating everybody up, and he had that like wild style, like just hands down. I'm just.
It was like
a smash you.
Smash you.
Yeah. He was.
The
great.
technique wasn't even there. It was just a sheer beat you down.
And he was beating dudes down left and right.
Yes.
He really was. They fought at 112. Vic Darchinyan, shout out to Vic Darchinyan.
I'm gonna go watch that fight just for that.
You guys, if you haven't watched that fight, go check that fight out.
It's one of my favorite fights.
Vic Darchinyan retired at 43. He had 43 fights. 32 of those fights came by way of KO, 9 defeats, 5 by way of knockout, and he had 1 draw. This guy was incredible. He really was a great fighter.
How many knockouts did he have? You said 9? No.
32 knockouts in 43 fights. He was KO'd.
And how many losses? 9?
9. And he was KO'd in 5 of those fights. But this is, like I said, this is a guy who fought. Like, he brought so much joy to so many people. And he just, like, he never lost a fight. He didn't lose a fight until he fought Nonito Donaire. He was undefeated. And when he fought Nonito Donaire, he got knocked out. And then after that, he came back to fight Federico Cantabay. And he...
But we gotta talk about the Donaire fight.
Yeah, I know. I'm just
we
saying.
We gotta talk about what happened there.
Sorry, I'm just saying. I lost my train, bro.
But...
Because Vic Darchinyan was a great fighter, but Nonito Donaire is one of these guys. He's a throwback fighter as well. And Nonito Donaire has had ebbs and flows in his career. His career has taken off. It has stalled. It's taken off. It's stalled. It's taken off. And here it goes again. He's taken off again. And don't blink, because he's fighting Andres Campos, who's 17-2-1, out of Buenos Aires, Argentina. And this fight is going to happen, I believe, July 14th. And it's going to happen in Argentina. So, yeah, man.
But I want to tell them about the fight that Donaire had with Vic.
Talk it up.
It was a time where a fighter's will was just taken from him. When you lose for the first time and your will's just broken, his will was broken in such a manner that he never really recovered. But the way his will was broken was spectacular. It was just so shocking to him and the fans to see how his will was taken from him by taking those punches from Donaire. Right. And it was just so shocking and final. I mean, you can be beat and knocked out and what have you, and you succumb because you getting whatever. But he just got stopped with his will fully intact, and this a very, very showy type knockout. But it's the wheel breaking, and that was the big part of that fight. But as Mark said, he's back again. He has great skill set. He's fought Inoue, Mark, and he gave Inoue the best fight Inoue ever had. Broke his orbital bone, that type of thing, and gave him a great fight. The second fight, he got caught, but up to that fight, it was a good fight. So he was excellent. So hey, intern title, what's that mean to you, Mark? When he, if he wins that?
Well, he's just moving back up in the rankings.
So intern title means you're in line to fight the full titleist.
Yeah, he'll eventually get another shot. I mean,
and who's the BA? Who's the BA titleist? Nobody but Mr. Inoue, correct?
Yeah, the WBA. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I don't know who's at that division. I don't even know.
So
I have to actually look at the rankings for the WBA. Do you know? You're looped into the WBA, bro. Tell us.
Not as with his situation, but I know that if he does get this belt, he has the chance to go ahead and whether he's moving up, moving down, to go back to Inoue, which is a goal of his. So I commend him for coming out. I'm sure he's still got the chops to do it, and he's going to be fun to watch no matter what he does. If it happens to be a defeat, he's coming. If he wins, he's coming. So he's fun to watch.
Yeah, no doubt. No, Nonito Donaire is explosive. He's exciting. He's fighting at bantamweight, right? That's a bantamweight fight.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean that's gonna be a great fight.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah, I wonder what De Los Santos is gonna do next, man. Because he was so in shape and ready to go. I'm wondering if he's what the next fight is gonna be for him.
Well, he has a training camp he has to come off of. He didn't get to fight. And as you know, Mark, if your body's ready to fight, you're mentally ready to fight, you kind of have a hangover if you don't fight for a week or so, because you was ready to go, you've neglected yourself mentally and physically, and all that kind of stuff. And you didn't get to fight. You didn't get to let that out. And, that's kind of taxing on any fighter who misses a fight. So a week or so or whatever, maybe his purse was $300,000. He got 165 of it. Maybe that kind of pacifies some. But I believe they'll give him another fight somewhere pretty close to kind of make up for that. And he's ready to fight again. So when someone wants to come by and say, okay, we'll give you a fight, he may be able to fight in a month, Mark. That he could possibly do that. So because they know he's in shape, and we have to see. And
I hope he comes back, and I hope he has another fight. I'm sure he'll be in the gym soon enough. But, look, here's the thing. We could do this all night, right? But our time has come to an end. Oh. So without further ado, I would like to thank you all for being with us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you
And
get
the
your
comments.
podcasts.
Thank you.
Thank you for putting in the comments. Thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you for joining us on Facebook and on YouTube. We really, really appreciate that. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and, do all that good stuff on social media. We're on basically Instagram and Facebook at The Boxing Breakdown. And you can listen to our podcasts. This is our 3rd season and our 4th episode. And there's tons and tons of content there. You can find us on Spotify. Just type in The Boxing Breakdown with Mark Roxy, and you will be able to follow the podcast. And we would greatly appreciate it if you could give us a review and a thumbs up. It goes a long way. So without further ado, I'd like to thank you guys for being on this episode of The Boxing Breakdown. And until next time, we wish you peace and love, and we'll see you on the next episode of The Boxing Breakdown.
Watch all the fights this weekend.
You got that right.
Fight fans, join host Mark Roxy and special guests as they break down all aspects of the boxing world, including news, business, management, training, promotions,
I don't have that skill
fan
set.
reactions, upcoming events, matchups, future boxing stars, title
I'm an
fights,
observer.
state of the boxing world, and all the stuff you don't see when you watch boxing. This podcast is released each week on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Live streamed on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook Live. It's The Boxing Breakdown, hosted by Mark Roxy.